There we go. So if you're logging in, that's a 0, not an O, just to let you know. I was trying to make this easy, throw these onto some quick links. You can get to this page here at this first link, this 3dmkf.com QLinks. And the website's my own personal quick links creator. If you go to a 3D printing site, it took you to the wrong page. This should take you, so if you go to the first one, it should take you to this page here, and then all the other links that you might want to access are right there on it. And then really for this, you just need an account. And I went on an account last night. If you go to Google, as long as you're in your account, you go to the notebooklm.google.com. It pops you right in, has a question, says here's the term services, hit OK, and it's ready to go. And this long link, if you have any questions or comments, I've got 3 questions on there, like what is your level of AI use? If you have any questions for this, put them there. And what do you think about AIs? I think what they were. And I'll be using, if anybody adds questions or whatever, I'll actually be using that towards the end to show you how you can pull in a Google form or a spreadsheet made from a Google form and actually use it in a notebook. So quick show of hands. How many of you use NotebookLM? About half of you. How many of you have actually heard of NotebookLM? Okay, good, most of you. This is a tool that I was luckily given access to very, very early on. It came out, I want to say it came out around late 2024, and it really kind of hit public around early 25 is when they kind of released it out of that early beta phase. So I've been using it for a couple of years now. I was actually part of their educational representative group they had for a very short period of time, very early on. A lot of, I teach at Boise State, just to let you know, and I guess I should introduce myself, geez. So I'm Kevin Rank, I'm a lecturer at Boise State. I'm one of our state catalysts, where every public college and university in the state has an AI catalyst. I'm the representative for Boise State. I work in the College of Business and Economics. I teach IT management. I've worked in IT management or IT most of my life. Teaching has just been something I got into in the last couple of years. I really enjoy it. And it's really given me a lot of opportunities. And I also teach our business college's generative AI class. I've started it five semesters ago, so I'm on my 5th semester. We started it very early on. Back then, I was talking about ChatGPT 3.0. Now we're talking about the latest AI systems, programming. Now we're getting into the agentic world. And every semester, I still talk about NotebookLM. It's just a very, very powerful system. I use it all the time, but a lot of people have a hard time getting their head around it because it's not. It uses Gemini, but it's not creative like a general AI would be. It's very, very different in that aspect. So just a little, I've got a few slides and then it's basically going to be all workshops. So general AI is very chaotic. It pulls information from all over the internet and it can be very, shall we say, creative because of that. That's where we get hallucinations. Hallucinations aren't exactly a bug. They're technically a feature of AI, but at the wrong time, it's a big problem. NotebookLM almost eliminates all hallucinations because it's all based on what you've fed it. Your notebooks are grounded, and whatever you put into it, that's what it uses. It doesn't get creative and go to the web and figure things out. But if you need that functionality, they've recently added the ability to load your notebook as a source into Gemini. So you can actually have that creativeness of Gemini, but have it based on your notebook that you feed into it, which is really nice. Basically, you've got 3 sections. You've got what this says, it calls the ingestion zone. That is where your sources go. That's where you load them up. That's where you put them. In the center, this is your chat. You can ask it questions. You can actually now kick off asking for sources from that, and and you can do all sorts of stuff in that portion. You can also save to your note board. You can save notes out from here. And then finally, what this is calling the Synthesis Studio. It allows you to convert your knowledge into different things. So as you saw in that very first slide that I'd had up for a little while, you can ingest all sorts of stuff, documents, PowerPoints, videos, audio files. It basically pulls the transcript from those, all sorts of things. It can pull all of that in, and then it can remix it. It'll create mind maps. It'll create infographics. Its big kind of viral moment last year was when people discovered it could create podcasts, which are very effective. It now creates video. They just introduced cinematic video using their VO3 model. It does all sorts of stuff. It turns these kind of boring sources out there into actual useful artifacts that you can use. And this is, so I like this. The first command is curate, don't dump. So you want to curate your sources. It does have a deep research mode, which is really convenient. I can say, I want to learn about whatever topic I want. And it will go out, it takes a while, but it will find a bunch of different topics. If you accept them all, you're dumping a lot of stuff in there. You've got good, you've got bad. The important thing with NotebookLM is the concept of garbage in, garbage out. You want to give it good, clean data that's very good. It's got all the information you want. If you give it that good, clean data, you are going to get really, really good results from it. And this is also really good. There's a lot of little tidbits when you're dealing with this. Like this one here, this logical naming. Make the names obvious, because you just have this little bit that you see. It could be a real pain in the butt to try to figure out what the actual item that you're looking at is. So this actually works really well. Those are some overviews. I don't want to get into that. This is the workflow. You upload your files, you synthesize them, you can drill down, and then you can kind of move from there and turn it into an artifact for yourself. Is it are you creating a web page? Are you want a video? Do you want an audio file? Do all of that. Let's see. So repurposing. Here's a couple of items that I don't know that I've got them on my web page yet. I've started working on a web page for this. I didn't get everything. I didn't get everything completed on time that I wanted to, so sorry about that. So I'll be continuing to work on it. It ended up being a very, very ambitious project, and that's one of the reasons why it's not actually all working. But these are a few things that you will find in there. The personal journal analysis, that works really well. AI-assisted chef. You can do things like mixing, like taking your your cookbooks and mixing them up, and get some, say like I want to have like some form of cooking, say Japanese style cooking, but done in a French chef sort of way. It can figure that out. It's really interesting when you do that sort of thing. Simulated interview prep. If you play role-playing games, it can do that as well. Some fun stuff. You can prompt it. It's at the heart of it. It can do a lot of prompting. It's not just here, click these buttons. You can do that, but honestly, the results aren't that great. And I've got a bunch of prompts that are in the document that I'll show you guys. That for you, those of you that were here a little before I started here, you saw it on that page. There's documents that you can see in there. There we go. Can you hear me better? Okay. So there's documents in here, in the documents there's prompts that will help you get better results. So in that chat pane in the center, you can give it these different prompts to basically modify what it does. Let's see here.
Do you mind going back one slide just real quick?
There you go. And I will be putting the slide deck out somewhere too. Oh, here, I was going to skip that one. So this is a workflow that I use quite a bit. I am a big fan of Perplexity, and the great thing about Perplexity is it's good at bringing up good results, good information, and they're easy to find how it presents it. So I can pick a few sources using Perplexity. I put them into NotebookLM, and then I do the design. Some people use Gamma and Canva. That's why I left this in. I tend to use NotebookLM. It does have the ability to create slides, though they're PDFs. They're pictures. They're not actual slides. Google has said many times that they are working on creating slideshows with it, so it will use Google Slides instead of PowerPoint. It will export to PowerPoint, but again, they're just pictures on a page. Basically, what you're seeing here is what it does. Again, the idea here is you ground everything. It's all grounded. You curate it, and then you synthesize it. And this is the link to the notebook if you're interested. I'm sure most of you guys probably are there already. So I'm going to, did you grab that? Okay, so let me minimize this and get over here. Okay, so this is basically what, other than me having a ton of notebooks already, this is what they look like. So one of the things you can do from this interface, there are featured notebooks. These are curated notebooks that Google brings up that people have created. If you are into the March Madness, they've got all sorts of resources. Those come directly from Yahoo Sports, and you could build your bracket with those. That was something they have been advertising quite a bit, is building your own bracket. But there's a lot of different educational, informative items in here too. So if you want to use that, you can. If people share anything with you, you can look at those as well. But really what I use is my notebooks. So I'm going to start, I'm going to continue one. Let's see, I think this is, nope, not that one. Here we go. The NotebookLM Board of Advisors. So this was one of the items I talked about in the kind of the blurb for this, is how to create this board of advisors. What I've done, and the link is out there in that link on that link page. It will take you to the spreadsheet that has all of the original links that these pulled from, so you can paste them in. And actually, you know what? Let me actually start from that point. That is what I was originally going to do. So if I create, yeah.
Sorry to interrupt. I neglected to get the Wi-Fi password out there. Do you happen to know what it is? It's in your.
Yeah. Let's see. It's not that page. It's this. No. Oh, actually, it was in the slide. So let me pull this over here. Trying to do this with one hand is a lot more difficult than with two hands.
Should have given me a headset.
Yeah, that would have been nice. Okay, so what I'm going to do. Okay, so here is the spread, and I keep moving my hand as well. So here's the spreadsheet. Come on. It's not. There we go. Okay, so this was basically a quick slide deck I put together, or not slide deck, but a link sheet that I put together yesterday on storytelling. It's got links on different types, how to tell stories well, how to engage your audience, stuff that I am working on, so I'm not the best at this, and that's the reason why this came to mind. So I've already got all these links here. I'm just going to copy all of these. And then I'm going to go into NotebookLM. This is how you do this. You just go to your websites here. When you first open it up, it pops up asking for sources. So, or you just click this Add Sources. I click Websites and paste in there. And now all of these URLs are in here. And there we go. I do not need that. And if I click Insert, they're all there. It'll start inserting them. It'll take a little while to do that. That was the reason why I actually went ahead and created that other one, which there we go. That's the reason why I ended up creating this one. So let's leave that there. Now that's not going to work. There we go. Okay, so I've got this board of advisors. I can now ask it different questions. This is the video overview here. So some of the stuff takes a long time, so I did want to get it started. A lot of the video stuff takes a long time. But now if I want to figure out how to speak better, I can say, here, I'm going to put this down. Oops. There we go. Okay, so I can do something like, give me advice for doing a book LM. Give me a great hook to get it started. So by doing something like this, it will go through all of my sources, and it will give me advice. It will take the advice that people have said, these experts, and then kind of give me a synthesis of those. Yeah.
Can you repeat your prompts after you type them? Because it's hard to see.
Yeah. Well, let's see. It's so this one is give me advice for doing a presentation on NotebookLM. Give me a great hook to get it started. And you can see this is what it came up with. And it will give me different ones. So if I wanted a big promise hook, let's see, by the end of this presentation, you will know how to turn hours of tedious reading and research into customized interactive podcasts in less than 5 minutes. And that's actually true. I've actually used this. So in my AI class, in the IT world, we call it drinking from the fire hose of knowledge. And I've been in IT for 30 years. The last 3 to 4 years, that water hose has gone up a lot with AI. And I teach an AI class, and I want to make sure my students are aware of what's happening. So I put a bunch of sources, a bunch of news that had happened near the beginning of February. I put them into NotebookLM, and then I had to generate some slides and some infographics, trying to get some ideas of maybe how to present it. That's the other great thing about this. I can get ideas of how I want to present information, or sometimes I've actually come up with ideas this has come up with ideas and put together ideas that I had not thought about in very, very interesting ways. And that is another very powerful aspect of this. So for this class, I was trying to get some ideas. I grabbed a bunch of sources and I curated them. So that took the longest time. That took me about 20 minutes. And then I generated 3 different slide decks based on different prompts looking at different aspects. It was basically when Claude 4.6 dropped and the news around that at that time. And it took me about 40 minutes, mainly because I was looking at those slides as inspiration, and finally I'm like, you know what, I'm going to give up here. This is already great slides. I'm just going to use these to use it for my students. And I did ask the students, I said, this was generated in NotebookLM. It was all AI generated based on what I wanted to talk about. What do you guys think of it? And they really liked it. The slide deck looked really good. In a little bit, I will show you how you can use different prompts, and I've got a couple of links to show you different web pages for gathering image prompts for your infographics or for your slides. They work phenomenal.
Are the answers to your prompts only coming from the websites?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, everything will be in there. So the one that I used on this was.
It's very closed loop, if I'm understanding correctly.
What do you mean by that close? It's just it all stays together inside of this program.
Well, so she's asking it's only generating things based off of the inputs you feed
Yes.
into it, so it's not just going out into
Right.
the whole wide web. It's
Yeah. So if I were to ask this one about, we saw those Yahoo Sports about March Madness. If I ask this about March Madness, it shouldn't do anything. Here, let's see. I really hope it doesn't make me a liar here. But yes, it's supposed to be closed, very closed loop. It should only pull from what information it has. There you go. And that's honestly one of the really strong points of this application, because It does not go to the internet and just pull willy-nilly. It is based on what, basically it's based on what you give it. And that's just a terrific thing. And all these things over here on the side, these are different built-in pieces or different items you can do with it. So like with an audio overview, it's got 4 sections. The, what's it called? The deep dive, that was the original podcast. That actually was kind of what put this on the map for most people. Because all of a sudden you could generate these really interesting podcasts that sound really good. One of my coworkers at Boise State, she wrote a book, and she was having her students go through the book that she wrote, her textbook, and she actually put the textbook in this, and for each chapter she had it generate a deep dive. So let's face it, a lot of students don't read the textbook, but by being able to listen to the textbook, she actually got some good feedback. And it was literally the same day she learned how to do that. It was really kind of cool. It's got that brief, which is really nice. The critique, if you've got like a business plan, if you've got an idea, it will critique you. You know how AI likes to tell you how wonderful and amazing you are? This does a little bit better job of not doing that. And then the debate. You can have a debate on 2 sides of a topic. One of my favorite things to do is kind of make them crazy that they absolutely dislike the other person or talking there, and that they believe that they are absolutely right, and you can get some good friction in there. And that's one of the ways that I like to use the debate, is to get very, very strong polar opposite views and see how they're presented. So if you're doing any prep, you're trying to sell something, and you want to kind of get some ideas how people might speak against you or try to get you on something, this is a good way, because there's a good chance that the AI will see something and use that as a hook against whoever it's debating against in this. The other cool thing about this brief is that I can go in here and I can ask it, and I can interrupt it. So here, if I go this interactive mode, I'm going to turn this off for a second. So I can play this and it'll start playing.
Imagine you're walking into the most important meeting of your year.
Right. The one you've been stressed. Oh, hey there, how can we help?
Tell me how, allow my visit. Tell me how to talk about NotebookLM. Okay, it's not taking my voice. Okay. Okay, if it was working, it would take my voice and I could actually talk to it and I would talk to the 2 hosts in real time. That's one of the great things about having live demos. Things don't always work right. Yeah.
When you say it's going to be really good at helping you identify like points in your presentation or whatever you're putting together, and so you're talking about how like whoever you're debating against, how would it have any information about that if it's only working off of files that I'm inputting, which is probably going to be just from my perspective?
I would say, so yeah, that it doesn't, it's their debate based on your items. So you want to, when you curate your items, you want to have a broad perspective, not just your perspective. And that way you can get some of that in there and have them try to figure out things, because I will admit I have major blind spots. Like I tell all my students, I am very, very pro AI. Do not come to me for a completely critical view on AI because I'm pro AI. There are people I can point them to who are much more critical than I am, that are much better at talking about that. Actually, one of the gentlemen I always suggest is is in a panel in another room right now, Ed Ferrier, one of our philosophy professors. And that is his world, is the philosophy and being able to give that kind of advice. So yeah, it is a blind spot that I have when I'm talking about AI, because I am very pro AI. I hear a lot of the negative ideas behind it, but that doesn't necessarily, I'm not good at internalizing all of that. So if I want my students, or anybody, if I want them to get a better, more rounded view, I do recommend them go to somebody that has a different point of view than me. I at least acknowledge that I'm very biased. I try to let them know about that. But yeah, you do have to have that broad version. And if you do have a more complete version, you can get that debate in there and try to find those blind spots you might have.
Would you potentially prompt it to say what blind spots do I have and
Oh, yeah.
the materials I should upload to
Oh.
offer a different perspective? Or?
I actually on the website I have a prompt that actually does that. That look for gap analysis. That's what it does, because yeah, there you can do that. The other thing that you can do here. So I'm going to tell it, give me a list of all sources. Give me their point of view. If I type, give me their biases, or give me any biases they may have. Also, give me a gap analysis how about anything I have not thought about? That look good? Just trying to get an idea of maybe what I'm missing. And you can ask it to do this, and it actually usually does a really good job. Now, it's not going to, it shouldn't tell me like what to load in there because it doesn't have that knowledge. But then I can take the output into, say, Gemini, and Gemini or ChatGPT, whatever LLM you use, will be able to complete that gap analysis and figure it out for you. So this is going through here. And yeah, this gives you a breakdown on all of this. One of the things, because I do work in an AI world, talk about AI quite a bit, I see a lot of research. One of the things I like to do with NotebookLM is I will ask what the biases of the authors are. And as part of the report, it will give me their biases. Are they pro-AI? Are they anti-AI? Or are they in the middle? And it helps me get a read of the documentation that they're writing. How does that all fit in? If I'm looking for something positive and these people are very anti-AI, I need to take that into account. The other thing, you see all these little numbers here. This tells me where in the source files it found this. So if I click it, I don't think this is going to work right because it's a video. So it did show me the section. Sometimes it won't show you like just the section, it'll show you everything. So it found whatever this was, it found it in this piece. A lot of times, especially on text, it will give you a smaller section and show like, I found this in this portion and this is where it talks about it. That way you can double check it. One issue you run into, as you saw like with the videos or anything, they don't have the links. They don't show where the sources came from. So the trick for that is you can download the videos and then re-upload them as a source and ask NotebookLM for a list of assertions that were made in the video and give you links to where those assertions came from. So it's a fact check on the video that was done. And so far I've not run into a place where the video did not have a good backing in what they said. So that's kind of cool. This right here, let me show you this really quick. This is one of their newest additions. It's called cinematic video.
Entering a high-stakes negotiation feels less like a meeting and more like a standoff. You are in a room where the terms decided in the next few minutes will dictate the next 3 years of your operations. Under that pressure, the most common instinct is to overprovide. Presenters resort to spray and pray, dumping every statistic, every case study, and every technical detail into the room, hoping the sheer volume of information will eventually secure a yes. But an audience buried in facts reacts by retreating. They check their phones, they stop processing your logic. When you drown the room in data, you effectively end the negotiation before you've made your point. To maintain control, you have to disrupt that predictable, low-energy rhythm. You need to break.
Okay, so like I said, this is one of their newest additions, and it looks really good. Like Google has some really great models out there. This is using what's called their VO3 model. It's their video generator. It uses their their voice model that we still, I don't think that there's a consumer version of it accessible. Like you can use 11 Labs to generate voices outside of this, but this just brings everything together and it sounds pretty natural. It's definitely got a little bit of that uncanny valley in that voice, but it's not that really boring monotone like computer voice that you can hear, and that which is really annoying. Actually, I should do that better. That sounds a lot better. The old style, let's see if I've got one of those. Oh, I don't have one of those. Let's see. Let's see. So what I was going to show you next. Oh yeah, infographics. So infographics are another really good point. So again, this is that group of experts that I've got on storytelling, on speaking, public speaking, stuff like that. And it's really nice to be able to bring things down into something that's easily digestible. I use this in my classes all the time. My son's in the 4th grade. I actually showed his teacher this at the beginning of the semester, and he was pretty blown away. He's in West Ada. They use like Magic School or whatever that one is. It's what it produces is really boring. Like it's very plain. He took what it produced for a class session, put it in NotebookLM, generated a really nice infographic, and he was completely blown away. And he basically started using it that day. He was showing. He told me the next week that he was showing other teachers what he was doing now, and they were really enjoying it. So let's see here. What I'm looking for is the prompt, because I'm pretty sure oh, okay. So if you create a mind map, or sorry, an infographic, I was looking at the mind map, it's got some these built-in styles that you can use. Again, you know what, I'm right-handed, it's a lot harder to do left-handed. Okay, it's got all these different styles that you can use. And that was the anime style. You can also use these prompt styles. So let me go back. So this is my AI website, and I've been using this to pull together a bunch of different visuals. And okay, I was like, it's not showing me anything. Okay, so this is showing the capabilities that you can do. This is an example of a infographic, and I just kind of wanted to show you that by using a decent prompt, you get these are all pulling from the exact same sources, but you can see that they're very, very different looking. And let me go down here. So I think those were actually, yeah, so there's that one there. There we go. That's what I was looking for. So here is like the prompt for this is a very long image prompt. So again, the link to this is a Facebook group where a gentleman has created a whole bunch of these. And that's where I discovered them, and I just put them all in here, so just in case he ever closes that site down, I still have a backup of all of his prompts. And there's other sites out there like that. Any page also that gives you prompts for like creating a look on a website, those work really well. Anything that gives you a visual style, you can put into NotebookLM and prompt it and get some good results back. Now I want to show this too. So inside of, when you're talking to actually, you know what, I don't want to do it on this one. Let me go back. So when you were talking to it, if you ask it questions, there's a default voice or default response style. Honestly, that's what I usually leave it at. I leave this default 98%, 99% of the time. I hardly ever change. I kind of forget that it's there. But you can also turn it into a learning guide, and you can also put a custom prompt in. One of the ones that I used the other day in prepping for this was make the responses kind of disturbed, somewhere between Deadpool and Wednesday Addams. And yeah, it can produce some really fun results. And honestly, when playing with AI, I really recommend playing and having fun. Doing everything like that's all productivity oriented is boring. You can have fun. If you have fun with it, you're going to stick with it longer, you're going to work on it longer, and you're going to figure it out. And those skills then turn into productivity capabilities where you can produce stuff at a much, much faster rate, or at least higher quality than you're able to do on your own. So I really do recommend having some fun with this stuff. But yeah, like I said, you can do this, configure chat. It's got learning guide. I will admit, I've never used that one. I'm not totally sure what that one looks like. Because usually if I'm gonna do that, I'm gonna do flashcards. Yeah, let's see. You know what? I probably should have generated these. I can do a flashcard and I can do a quiz. And text isn't too bad. While that's generating, oh, you know what? I did. So, okay. Mind map is, I think, the only one. Yeah, they've changed this. These used to have little pencils to show that you can modify them. Now, any of them with an arrow means that you can go in and create different, and modify them and create prompts. So that's a new aspect to this. Actually, it's just something I just noticed. Let's see, so this is already done. So this is based on all of those topics from storytelling and such. These are what it came up with, as, trying to move this a little bit, as topics in a full mind map. So if you want to, if you like mind maps, if you learn better from mind maps, this is another way to do it. Use benchmarks and timeframes. If I click that, it creates a prompt. Discuss what these sources say about use benchmarks and timeframes in the larger context of data visualization. So it actually creates a good prompt so you can learn about whatever that is in this mind map. This was one of the early things, one of the early kind of expansions they released, and it's kind of magical when they did that. It's an awesome one. Okay, here we go. So flashcards. In consulting presentations, what is the pyramid principle? And then you say, what you think it is. You click, see the answer, and did you get it right or wrong? If you can mark it right. What does the S stand for in this if you get it wrong? So you can actually, it will actually keep track of how you do on these. And if I I can click explain, and it will prompt and explain how, what that concept is. So again, it makes a really good, real simple learning tool. There are extensions out there, like Chrome extensions, that allow you to export slides, or a lot of times the mind map, and you can put those into like Quizlet or whatnot. Honestly, this I think works about as well as Quizlet, so I just would use that if it was me. But you can do that. Honestly, with how the way AI has gone, something I've done in my own classes, I've actually taken for the 2 exams we do, I've actually created a program to generate flashcards for my students and gave them a link to that. Because if you haven't used AI to program, you're really missing out. It's real easy to do. You don't have to be a programmer, and you can literally write your own little utility programs, your own little programs in a few minutes. I had my last assignment, that's what it was all about for my students, and I got 80-some students to actually write a program who are not IT students, they're business students that are scared of technology. All of them were able to write a program, so it's not that hard. Okay, quiz. So this is a quiz. You've got 4 questions. It's just how it's presented is a little bit different. Let's see here, and it still has that explain down here, so you can ask it to explain what the answer was. So yeah, it'll create quizzes as well. It'll create like I said earlier, NotebookLM allows you to take your knowledge, your information, your sources, and convert it into an interesting artifact, something that will bring more value to you than just those sources, just reading through the sources yourself. I am not an artist. I am not building out infographics anywhere near the quality of these, or video explainers, or most anything. I'm not as good as this is. And so far I've been really happy with its results. You do have to curate it. I know that in setting up this talk, I did find one image out of all the ones that I've generated that had a word misspelled in it. So sometimes they will have problems. And that reminds me. This is something that you kind of learn through time. Right here, it shows, so you can create different levels of detail when you create or customize your infographic, concise, standard, or detailed. If you choose detailed, it says that it's in beta. I have never gotten a good generation out of it. They're very, very detailed, and for some reason, near the end, it will start generating a lot of, it will generate, I wouldn't say a lot, but it will generate some hallucinations. And depending on how it's depicted, sometimes it's really easy. I can go into Photoshop and fix it. But sometimes it's very integrated and it's very difficult to do. I'm waiting for that beta tab or that beta label to leave, and then I'll probably use those again. It ended up being kind of painful to just, every time I used it, it was just not pretty. So that's something that a lot of people don't know offhand. You just kind of generate that knowledge as you go along. So this has data tables. This works really good especially if you've got numbers that you're dealing with and you want to bring all those numbers together. This works really good for bringing those together. You might have, I don't know, something that has information on one product for a series of years, maybe another spreadsheet has a different couple of products over the years, and you can combine them into one here and then have a better look at what they look like. And then you can bring that into like Excel and create visualizations off of it, stuff like that. Reports, I think that's the last one. Yeah, I haven't really talked about anything else yet. So reports, when you go into reports, it comes up to this view. These are the 4 basic reports you're going to see every time, at least right now. NotebookLM changes quite a bit. So there's a create your own at the end there. I use that probably the most of all of these, and I ask it for what I'm looking for. Early on, when they were first building this out, they had a report called a FAQ and they had a report called a timeline. They've removed both of those, but in the links section on my website, if it's not there yet, I will have it because I've got the original post from their NotebookLM X account where they actually gave the prompt that they used to use to generate those. The timeline prompt's really interesting because I can actually use that to create a timeline. And then once you've done that, and I don't have, actually, let's see, I think, let's see, I'm just trying to see if I have, here we go. I might have a timeline in here. Let's see. No, I don't. Okay, so what you can do is you can generate a timeline. You use that prompt, generate a timeline. Then you can dump it back over into your sources. So if you've ever got an item that you've written, I can then convert it to source. So if a report's there, I can click convert it to source and it will show up over here. So this is synthesizing something. If I scroll all the way down, so it's right here. So I can use that to create a timeline of kind of whatever has been happening, whatever I'm talking about. And then I can use an infographic to convert that timeline into a visual timeline. Again, these are little tricks that make using NotebookLM very, very helpful to show what you're doing. To me, there's just a lot of uses for like the timeline. It just works really well. If you've got a lot of questions you get about something, that FAQ prompt works really well as too. Let's see here. One of the reasons that I did all these different ones is so I could give you guys different ideas. Okay, so this is kind of a fun one. If you like to do treasure hunts, you can use NotebookLM to create a treasure hunt very easily. You guys have probably seen all the tractors hanging around here, right? They all have a story on them. They have placards that will tell you about them. Well, they also have all that information on the website. So those were my sources down the side. That's all the information about all the individual tractors you'll find here at Jump. I then created a prompt called the Mystery Tour game. Again, this is in those, that I know it's in the link section. I will be putting it on the webpage as well. And it is a fairly extensive prompt, not a huge one, but it's still fairly large. And it will explain, or explains to NotebookLM how to use the sources and how to create a prompt to create a mystery tour so that you can go, you could hand out flyers to people and have them go on a scavenger hunt to find out, find out these facts. Okay, so that was the prompt. And let's see here. Here we go. So I used that prompt in one of those reports, and here's what it looks like. So let's see, the lawyer's bounty. In 1852, a gold medal I won, but a legal storm followed before I was done. A future commander took a grand as his fee to keep my inventor's bright patents for me. And then you can go around and find that. And it's also got an answer key, so I can look this up. Abraham Lincoln was paid a $1,000 fee for for this patent case, which he used to fund his historic debates against Stephen Douglas. However, the true scale of the high-stakes litigation is revealed by his co-counsel, Edwin Stanton, who received a then enormous fee of $10,000. And the target in this was the JH Mini Reaper tractor. So you can imagine having a lot of fun with this. If you're trying to build out something for a group, have them, you could put all this information in and then have it generate something like this. If you don't have a good, honestly, Jump is awesome because I was able to pull these in. I would probably use this prompt more often than not in like Gemini or ChatGPT so that it can pull in sources from around the internet, so I don't have to do that research first. But this gives you an idea of how it can be used. And the nice thing when you do use it this way, it's going to keep everything grounded in your sources. Honestly, when you're using an LLM that's exposed to the internet, you're not really sure what you're going to get. So that's something to keep in mind. I just realized we are basically out of time. I want to turn this over for you guys, if you guys have any questions. I did want to show, this is another one, Voices of the Future, what 81,000 people want from AI. This was just recently released by Anthropic, talking about what people were saying. So create an infographic. I pretty much always start with an infographic. If you're on the Pro plan and you get 15 infographics a day. How do I know that? Because I've tried to do a lot more than those in a day, and it becomes a pain. Let's see, actually, you know what? Let me do this. Let's see. Oh yeah, and that's one other thing I want to show you guys. So if I go in here, okay, so here's the workshop. I don't know if anybody's filled out a questionnaire. Hey, actually. So one of the things I do recommend, if you can, use a Google Slide, use a Google Doc, or use a Google Sheet, because if you're using those directly from Google Drive, you can update them. See this link right here? Click to sync. So now, come on, there we go. So now it's going to sync, and I will see if anybody, yeah, so people have asked questions here. Give me a second. So what I'm going to do right here is create a prompt. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to deselect all sources, so I only have this source. This is that quick check-in. And I'm going to say, actually I want to open that up so I can see what's in it. I'm going to say use the column describe AI in one word. Please provide sentiment analysis on what the audience thinks about AI. Okay, sorry. I know that I kind of zoned out there for a second. So this is use the column, describe AI in one word. Please provide sentiment analysis on what the audience thinks about AI. So this is based on that questionnaire that was there at the beginning. And this gives you sentiment analysis. One of the things I do in my class is at the end of the semester, I have them do group presentations, and they all have to rate everybody else's presentations. And I then this is brand new, I'm now using a Google form to collect their answers there, and then I'm able to have it go through and create a separate visualization, separate infographic for each group and what their feedback was. I have a lot more than 15 groups, so it took several days to complete that, but it does work really well. But yeah, so I think that's all the time I've really got time for. Are there any questions that you guys have before we end this? I want to give you guys a few extra minutes. Yeah.
Can you take your own company's logos and everything and import
Yes.
it there?
Yes, you can.
Does it come out in the infographics?
Yes.
I never had.
As a matter of, this is one of those kind of weird ones that it will bring in stuff from outside. I will ask it to bring in the colors and logo of Boise State, and it actually brings in the colors and logo of Boise State, even if I don't have them as part of it. What you can do as well is you can actually add those, like add a website that has that information, and or actually you want it selected. Tell it in like a prompt if you're creating an infographic, say do not use this name only for the brand colors, the branding. And I've had a lot of really good luck that it ignores it for producing information, but it uses it for that look. Yeah.
You showed a lot of books that other people had created.
Yeah.
And like can you make the notebook private so that
Yes.
people don't have access to it?
By default, it's private. Actually, I didn't even cover that part. By default, this is private. It was originally pushed or created by a writer, and as a writing tool. And Google will not train on it at all. If you are on a Pro or a Plus plan, nobody will ever see anything. If you give them feedback, you'll notice sometimes there'll be a thumbs up or thumbs down. If you do that and you're on a non-pro, on a free account, somebody may look at it to see why you ranked it bad or whatever. That's the only time anybody will look at it. Up until very, very recently, any chat you did instantly vanished after you closed it. And a lot of people complained about that. That's one of the reasons that got changed.
Gotcha. All of your links to access it in general, is that available through the QR code that you had up earlier? Where do we get the
Actually,
materials?
yeah. So what I would do is go to this quick links. If you go to this quick links, it'll take you to this page, and
Well,
then
how do we access this is what I'm asking.
right, this top link right here. So it's at 3dmkf.com QLinks. I try to keep it as simple as possible. Yeah.
My understanding is NotebookLM runs on a rather lightweight version of Gemini. When do you take content out and run it through one of the big models, Pro versions, and take it back in?
It depends on my workflow. Usually I will, so the loop that I'll usually do with that is if I'm researching something, I will use usually Perplexity, but also maybe deep research in Gemini or ChatGPT. I'll research something. I will then pull that into NotebookLM and use that as a basis to start asking questions. I will then have questions based on that, and I will take those questions that I created out and ask again. That's kind of that improvement loop that I use. But most of the time, I will create stuff outside, move it into NotebookLM, and then just use it as a source. That's usually what I do. I don't pull it out as much unless I'm using it as an artifact for something else.
Why wouldn't you do your question phase in the big models? Wouldn't they be answering there?
Because usually I have an idea of what I believe are reputable sources, and I don't want to just use anything random. But that's where I will do a deep research, where I will pull, Gemini will pull hundreds of websites in and create a deep research on that, and then I will pull that into NotebookLM and use that as an authoritative source.
So you're still trusting websites right now? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
The other trick that I'll do is this is what I usually do when I do that. I will use the same deep research prompt in Gemini and ChatGPT and Anthropic, and then I will pull all three of those in, and then I'll ask NotebookLM, where do they agree, where do they disagree? If all three agree on the subject, it probably is correct.